Greetings, everyone. This is Lakshmi Lotus. Welcome to Spiritual Science. I am beginning a series to talk about the dragon species of life. Unlike what most people think, dragons are not just mythological creatures. Dragons really do exist, and I want to speak about how they are regarded in Chinese culture, as well as speak about other people's experience. And I have my own personal experience too with dragons. And so dragons, they have their own planets in which they live upon. They also live upon Earth as well. So there are some species of dragons that live right here on our very planet. And this is why sometimes that they have been witnessed in the past, and people have actually seen these dragons. Now, dragons, there are in so many different cultures. They are depicted in different types of art, like drawings and things like that. So it is a part of our world that unfortunately is being made in these modern times for people to think that they're just mythological creatures and that don't exist, but they actually do exist. So first, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Chinese dragon and what that all means. So in China, dragons are worshipped in China. So dragon in Chinese is called Long. Long is a totem of the Chinese nation, a symbol of China, and it has the highest status among animals, deified by and sacred to Chinese people. The divine dragon is worshipped by the Chinese people from ancient emperors to ordinary people today. Chinese people even call themselves descendants of the dragon, a story that is rooted in folklore and history. Feudal rulers in the past maintained this myth. I put in quotes myth because it's really not a myth. And this is the problem, is nowadays they want us to believe all these things are myth when they're not myth. And this is to cover up the truth. So by surrounding themselves with dragon-related ornamentation, dragons are therefore seen everywhere in China, from architecture to clothing, and from foods to Chinese people's names. You will find a lot of dragon images during any tours to China. What does a typical Chinese dragon look like? How many kinds of Chinese dragons are there? Unlike their Western counterparts, most Chinese dragons are wingless, serpentine creatures. While they do not have wings, they can magically fly through clouds. They can also swim in the waters. If you look at paintings or carvings of Chinese dragons, their general appearance can be a composite of real animals. Antlers of a deer, head of a lion, eyes of a rabbit, neck of a snake, the face of a camel, scales of a carp, claws of an eagle, paws of a tiger, ears of an ox, tail of a whale, and the eyes of a lobster. Sometimes it has a flaming pearl under its chin. So take note on how it said that these dragons, they don't have wings but can fly in the air. That is not completely what would the word be? It's not defying any laws of physics or anything like that, because in fact there's even human beings without wings that can also fly, different human species. And there's planets where these human beings live, and they can fly from one planet to another without any space vehicles. So it's absolutely, completely fine, and it is realistic. I guess that's the word I'm trying to look for. It's realistic to consider the fact that these dragons don't have wings but can fly. There are some dragons that do have wings as well. Some don't and some do. and they are like serpent. These are like serpent like creatures, and they're sometimes called, the Nagas. Nagas are serpent creatures, and generally Nagas live below the earth. They have their own planetary system, but they do come up to this planet to enjoy themselves and take advantage of the beauty of planet Earth. So they do come here. So I'll continue now. Alright, so we talked about how they have various animal appearances. So there are 14 kinds of dragons. Zulong, or candle dragon, also known as Zuyin, or illuminating the darkness. It was known to have a human face and the body of a snake. It bestowed day and night upon the land by opening and closing its eyes, and also seasonal winds by breathing. It neither ate nor drank nor slept. Quilong, a dragon, is a black creature, like a cow, no horns, only one leg. It brought wind and rain when it went in and out of water. It can be seen in the decoration of Chinese bronzes from the Shang Dynasty. Oh, yes, and that's another thing, is they are associated with water. Like the Nagas, there are also serpents from within the water. So a lot of dragons will be within the water. In fact, this might even be the roots of what the whole Loch Ness monster is in those, I think it's the Great Lakes or whichever lakes they have reported seeing what they call the Loch Ness monster. May actually just be a species of dragon. So, alright, so it can be seen from the Shang Dynasty, which became a popular motif on archaistic wares in a variety of media. The Quilong motif consists of abstract geometric dragons interwoven in the continuous twisting design. Tianlong, or celestial dragon, guarded the heavenly palaces and pulls divine chariots. Shenlong, the thunder god, controlled the weather and has an appearance of a human head, dragon's body, and drum-like stomach. Fukanlong, the underworld guardian of precious metals and jewels, is associated with volcanoes. Volcanoes are said to be created when they burst out of the ground to report to heaven. Jilong, or the earth dragon, is the controller of rivers and seas. It spends springtime in heaven and autumn in the sea. A little side note here is actually within Chinese astrology, the dragon is one of the zodiac signs. I happen to be the dragon zodiac sign, and of the different types of dragon, I'm considered to be the fire dragon. So, okay. And then there's Yinlong, the dragon with wings. See, I said there are some dragons with wings. It is associated with rains and floods. It helped Huangdi, Yellow Emperor, to defeat Qiyu, a tribal leader, and was regarded as the ancestor of the Hmong people. One legend states that Yinlong also helped Dao Yu, the first king of the Xia dynasty, and that to stop the Yellow River from flooding by digging long channels with his tail. Qiaolong, the hornless or scaled dragon, is known as the leader of all aquatic animals. Oh, yeah, see that one, the leader of all aquatic animals. Panglong, the lake dragon, was said that it did not ascend to heaven. Huanglong, or yellow dragon, is the hornless dragon. Images of the yellow dragon were strictly and exclusively used by emperors. Feilong, the flying dragon, is a winged dragon that rides on clouds and mist. Qinglong, or the green dragon, is associated with the East, the Chinese four symbols, along with the phoenix, unicorn, and tortoise. Of mythological creatures, I put in quotes mythological because I don't believe they're myths, in the Chinese constellations, because also unicorns do exist too. Huigong, the curling dragon, is a horned dragon, and Shigong, a hornless dragon, is a deity of water and could be found on roofs to prevent fire. So where did the dragon come from in history? It is not known when this came about, though some historians suggest a link with traditional Chinese astronomy of 7 stars in the east as they formed the shape of a dragon. Therefore, it is called the 7 stars of Azure, blue, dragon of the east. Those 7 stars can be seen above the horizon in early spring and then move higher up to the south in summer, falling to the west in autumn, and hide below the horizon during winter. This coincides with the cycle of rainwater. As an agricultural country, rainwater is very important, and the ancient Chinese people believe it is the dragon that brings rain to water the crops. The oldest known depiction of a dragon was discovered in 1984 and called the coiled dragon, carved out of jade. The figure was found in a burial chest in an ancient cemetery dating to the Hongshan era of 4700 to 2920 BC. Other jade carvings of dragons have been found in abundance during the Yangzhou era, 3300 to 2200 BC. Some Chinese scholars, like Mr. Wang Yizhou, 1899 to 1946, suggest that the collection of beastly parts was based on the political union of several different tribes, each with a different animal as their totem. The dragon was therefore a symbol representation of the assimilation of these tribes into a single nation. An interesting hypothesis, it does not, however, explain the appearance of dragons long before any such political associations existed in early Chinese communities. What are dragon kings? Dragon kings may have been imported from India before Buddhism was introduced to China from India during the 1st century CE. There was no evidence of the concept of dragon king in China. In Buddhist scripture, Naga is a deity being of half human and half cobra. They are associated with waters, rivers, lakes, seas, and wells, and are guardians of treasures. When Chinese scholars translated Buddhist scriptures, they translated it as long, dragon, hence the idea of dragon kings which control water. There are dragon kings in rivers, lakes, seas, and even wells. The main dragon kings are from the 4 seas, namely the East Sea, the East China Sea, the South Sea, corresponding to the South China Sea, the West Sea, sometimes seen as the Indian Ocean and beyond, and the North Sea. Due to this association, they are seen as in charge of water-related weather phenomena. In pre-modern times, many Chinese villages, especially those close to the rivers and seas, had temples dedicated to their local dragon king. It was customary for the local gentry and government officials to lead the community to offer sacrifices and conduct religious rites to appease the dragon, to ask for rain. There is a dragon temple called Guangrun Lingyu Temple, temple of timely rains and extensive moisture, in the summer palace of Beijing in Beijing. The emperor went there to pray for rain when there was a drought. King Long, emperor of the Qing dynasty, 1644 to 1911 CE, came there 9 times to pray for rain. Now, the Chinese dragons are much different from the Western view of dragons. The dragons are both noted in ancient folklore. The Chinese dragon is very different from the belief in the West. Tolkien's book, The Hobbit, portrays the widely known dragon Smaug that lived beneath the mountain, as well as another Old English epic, Beowulf. The dragons are depicted as being evil, cruel, vengeance, and bloodthirsty creatures that live in isolated places, in caves or underground. They have bodies like snakes with crocodile legs and cover with scales or feathers, having wings or spikes on their backs, and all breathe fire. In contrast, the Chinese dragon is recognizable for its long serpentine body that is generally wingless. It is very much a spiritual and cultural symbol, being an auspicious creature representing strength, wisdom, protection, power, wealth, and good fortune. Unlike the Western dragon, it does not harm humans. So, why Chinese people worship dragons? The Chinese dragons live in heaven with gods and have power over natural elements. Therefore, the Chinese worshipped and regarded dragons as the god of rain. In times of drought or flooding, locals would go to a temple and burn incense to pray for favorable conditions. So many of these dragons are highly advanced demigods that are in control of the weather and in control of the rains, such as in the Vedic culture, there's the King Indra. King Indra is also a very powerful demigod who is in charge of weather and rains. And so similarly, many of these dragons are very highly advanced souls who have these types of powers and can grant these wishes to the people who worship them. So they are also known for their kindness to ward off evil, protect the innocent, and bring safety to all. It is believed that they are protectors of life, family, and the nation as a whole. How the Chinese emperor and dragon was related. King Shi Huang, the first emperor of China, was nicknamed Zulong, or Grandfather Dragon. In 211 BCE, a servant of King Shi Huang was stopped by a stranger and was given a jade disc. The stranger asked the servant to forward this jade disc to King Shi Huang and add Zulong will die this year, then disappeared. To the emperor's horror, he found that this was the very jade disc that he offered to the river god 8 years ago. He immediately understood that Zulong referred to himself. In 210 BCE, King Shi Huang died on a trip to find the elixir of life, which would grant him immortality. The second emperor that was related to the dragon is Lui Bang, the first emperor of the Han Dynasty. According to Sima Qian's historical records, before Lui Bang's birth, his mother dreamt of meeting the divine. At that moment, the sky darkened and was followed by lightning and thunder. When Lui's father came in to attend to his wife, he was shocked to see a dragon beside her. Soon after, his wife became pregnant and gave birth to Lui. As Liu, I think it is pronounced Liu. As Liu was growing up, his friend would always notice a silhouette of a dragon hovering over him when he was drinking. He served as a low-rank official in the local police station. To avoid punishment for the mistake he made, he often hid in the forest, but his wife knew his whereabouts as there were floating clouds everywhere he went. Floating clouds are usually a symbol of the dragon. Oh, now that is very interesting. He joined in the rebellion against the Qing dynasty and overthrew it. thus founding the Han Dynasty, which is from 206 BCE to 220 CE. It has been said that the emperor was immortalized into a dragon and ascended to heaven. This legend contributed to the use of the Chinese dragon as a symbol of imperial power. The symbol of the yellow or golden dragon with 5 claws on each foot was the symbol for the emperors of the Chinese dynasties. During the late Qing dynasty, the dragon was even adopted as the national flag. It was a capital offense for ordinary people to wear clothes with the dragon symbol. The emperor was the only person with the divine right to wear robes of the dragon, sit on a dragon chair throne, and sleep on the dragon bed. So I will stop here as a part 1, and I'm going to continue on speaking about dragons in my next video.